I'm Jessica. I'm a senior statistical programmer 2 now at Icon. I've been in the industry since 2017, October. I joined on a graduate scheme with Quanticate. Yeah, I joined I didn't really know what I was going to do after I graduated, and then I got a position as a temp in a lab. And from there, I ended up learning loads about the industry, and I ended up applying to a graduate scheme.
How do you think you've changed, or what have you learned about specifically around soft skills since you've joined the industry?
So, I mean, obviously there is a level of, when I joined, I was a fresh-faced graduate who had just completed a maths master's, and now I am a senior programmer. There is going to be a lot of jump there regardless of the real world. But I would say I have become a lot more confident, a lot more personable generally, because with the industry, and I think with kind of joining the workforce in general, like, you need more than just programming ability, more than just syntax needs to be in your head at all times, and that's the real challenge. And yeah.
So do you think, so going back to that then, and also, is that just because of how you've grown since university and then starting in employment, or would you say that the confidence has grown specifically because of the industry?
I think obviously there's going to be a mixture of both, but I think the industry in particular, like there are a lot of programming jobs where you are quite literally just at the back end. You don't see or speak to people much, whereas with a statistical programmer in our industry, you are expected, or at least if you want to kind of move up, you are expected to be able to join in with client meetings, attend kind of cross-functional meetings. Our industry is very global as well, so you will by necessity be working with people all over the world. So I think it becomes a lot more important in our industry.
And do you think that that's something that should be encouraged by employers within the industry, or do you think that that's something that will grow naturally with individuals in your experience?
I think it's got to be a mixture of both. I think it needs to be important to the industry because we are starting to automate more and more of a junior programmer's position at the very least. And we need more senior programmers. I'm sure as a recruiter, you know that very well, that it is senior programmers that we have a shortage of. And that jump between junior and senior is more soft skill than hard skill. Junior programmers are amazing programmers. I'm always pleased to have them on my study. They're always really very good because they're fresh into it. They've just learned everything. But it's that soft skill side of it that moves someone from a junior to a senior that the industry needs to encourage.
What would you say that the three sort of most important soft skills in that instance, so transitioning from a junior programmer to a senior and making that jump, what would you say, in your opinion, the three main ones would be?
So I would say, I mean, number one, and this will always be number one, is confidence. It translates into everything else. You almost can't get the others without just confidence, because you need to stick your head like above the parapets and speak up for yourself to get anywhere with any of the other skills. So confidence is definitely number one. Number two will be communication, translating both from SAS to human, and then also making sure that when you speak, you are speaking clearly, concisely, in a way that non-programmers can understand, non-native speakers can understand. That's really, really important, especially in our industry, and especially for a programmer. The final one is definitely something that I would look for, is taking the initiative. Yeah, kind of thinking creatively, bringing a solution to a problem rather than just answering a question. An example of that might be if somebody turns around to you and says, "Oh, is this patient X in population Y?" It's a yes/no question, but what the difference between someone with and without soft skills would be answering as a yes no question, or saying yes because, and then also maybe offering up, this is the algorithm we use in general so that you can answer this question on other patients, and offering that additional information. And it's a difficult one to know to do, like it's a difficult skill to learn, because yes no is the correct answer. It's a yes no question, we know that, but it's seeing past that and realizing that you have relevant information on this topic, and now is the time to provide it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think one of the challenges we do have, and one of the ones that we speak to when we're talking to our candidates, is having that experience or even the understanding of dealing with you know, individuals globally and dealing with different cultures, and you know, having, you know, worked with people in Europe, people in the US, people all over the world. Things are communicated very differently. So that's I would probably agree with you in that, and that's something that we talk to our candidates about. So again, brings me back to, do you think that these skills can be taught? Do you believe that soft skills can be taught and should be training, etc., should be offered with employers?
I think training should be offered. I think that's a part of it, but I think it can only be one part of it. Opportunities for executing those skills is more important in soft skills. For example, if a programmer wants to get better at presenting, yes, we can provide training for them, and depending on the type of learner they are, they might be really receptive to that. Mm-hmm. But you aren't going to learn how to present a presentation on paper. You're going to have to get up and do it at some point. And yeah, it's providing those opportunities. So in the example of presenting, kind of having maybe like a regular slot wherein programmers can step up and present, rather than just having a training slides that explain how to do it, offering kind of a periodic opportunity where they can physically do that if they want to do it.
So then that would bring me on to, obviously, the opportunity to present at PHUSE. Is this something you would be encouraging the more junior programmers to be considering?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that with PHUSE, obviously, the easiest one to say is, if you're applying to PHUSE, you're going to build your presentation skills because you're applying to do a presentation, but you do also learn so much more than that while you're doing it. If you're looking for a chance to build soft skills, I can't recommend PHUSE more. You have to work with a team, so that's teamwork. You've got to be confident to do it in the first place, and also be physically there. And while you're there, you are obviously socializing, you're meeting different people in the industry, different perspectives, especially with working from home, having once a year a few days where you've got to give it a go and see if you can do it in person. I think that, yeah, PHUSE is invaluable when it comes to soft skills. And yeah, I've been to PHUSE every year, except I guess there was one PHUSE about a month after I joined the industry. I won't have been at that one, but every year since, I've submitted to or been on the committee for PHUSE, and yeah, couldn't recommend it enough.
Fantastic. I mean, I must say that obviously you and I met at PHUSE a few years ago before the pandemic, and it was really interesting to be able to meet people, you know, in real life. But also, you know, I think in the industry where a lot of people are, you know, working from home and don't necessarily get to go out that often, being able to meet people and learn and absorb information is just fantastic. And yeah, looking forward to attending in November.
Yeah,
brilliant. And are you presenting this year, Jessica?
No, I'm not. I'm leading the coding tips and tricks stream. Highly recommend. We've got a great lineup, I think, this year. Obviously early days, but from the abstracts I've seen so far, they're looking brilliant. And yeah, this will be my first year on committee and in person, because I've been doing it virtually. So I thought that I'd just concentrate on the being a chair in person part of it this year.
What advice would you give for anybody that was considering joining the industry?
I think the simplest one I could give, and this is probably the advice I would give to myself as well, is stand up for yourself. as I said before, confidence is the most important one. You can't fall back on someone else to seek out the new opportunities or the training courses or whatever else. It's your career. Even the most supportive manager in the world, it's still not their career, it's yours. So yeah, stand up for yourself. Yeah.
What would be your advice for a statistical programmer who was looking to be promoted and perhaps wasn't quite getting there? What advice would you give to them?
I think the first thing is tell your manager, make sure that they are aware of what your career goals are. I would say sign up for what you can. For example, if somebody reaches out saying, I need a volunteer to present on this topic, do it. If you've got experience on it, obviously. Like if you're thinking, oh, I'm really good at this bit of programming, but I need some more soft skills, and then someone's asking, oh, we need someone to present on to different topics, you need to be offering and saying, even if you don't think you're a particularly good presenter at first, that's how you learn. Just offer to do that. And yeah, doing that on repeat has done me well at this point. So yeah, I would really suggest that. Take opportunities, be honest if you're scared about them, but still do them. I would probably say teamwork is probably a big one. When I mean, as I mentioned before, I have a maths master's. Working in a team was not exactly promoted too much. It wasn't too important. And I am, when it comes to doing my actual work, I am quite independent. I would rather people kept their hands off my code and left me to it. But there is a balance, and I think working within a team is really important. In our industry, everything is double programmed, which anyone in the industry will know. In most cases, independently programming, 2 different people will be doing it. One of the first things you will come across is that you will mismatch, and you will need to speak to your QCer or your developer, and you need to resolve it, and you need to put forward a case for why you thought yours was correct, or you need to accept it gracefully when you realize that you are actually wrong. Admitting when you're wrong is one of the most difficult ones, potentially even harder than arguing that you're right. But yeah, I think it is something we have to do every day in the industry that I never really had to do before. Was stand up for your own results, like yeah, and then also accept gracefully your mistakes.
So it's interesting though, where you said obviously being a maths graduate and being very happy working alone, and I think in programming there is an aspect of that, but then you're also saying that you do need to be a team player, you do need to be able to work in a team, you do need to be able to admit mistakes. So it's not necessarily everyone's perception of, you know, it being a very standalone role. It's actually not. There is a lot of teamwork. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and I mean there is, like, obviously I don't want to put off any new programmers. Like you do get plenty of time for it now. As a senior 2 who's leading multiple studies, I would say about 4 hours of my day will be quietly me programming on my own. So about half and half, and then the rest of the time will be leadership and meetings and discussing with other programmers and that kind of thing. So I still do get that dedicated time, and I get to write my own code, and yeah, that code doesn't get touched, it's mine. But then the results that come from that, I then do have to discuss with other people, and that's the way it is. And I think that that's a really good balance, and it works well for me as a bit of a nerd and an introvert.
There you go. Well, it sounds like it, and it's obviously working.
I hope so.
Oh, brilliant. Well, listen, Jessica, it was really, really lovely talking to you. I think that's it. I think you've given us a really, really good indication of you know, what it's like from your perspective. And obviously what we are trying to do is to be able to share your knowledge and insight, having come up from a graduate into a programming role, and then, you know, now a senior programmer too, and someone that I know well and have always had a really good connection with, being able to find out from you what your perspective is, and hopefully share that knowledge and information to perhaps more junior programmers who are looking or wondering what they need to do to be able to progress within the business. So really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you again in real life at PHUSE in
Yes.
in November.
Yeah, looking forward to it.